Hello, everyone. Please make sure that your video and microphones are off. Do not put on your video. Do not put on your microphones. Please make sure they're muted. Thank you. Anna Marie, please turn off your video. No video, no microphone. Thank you. Stephen, please turn off your video. Thank you. Okay, hello everybody. We're just getting started here in just 1 minute's time. So again, just a reminder, please make sure that your microphones and your video is turned off. Okay, we just don't want feedback in the background when we're doing the interview. We just have more people in the waiting area here, so I'm just going to make the announcement to them as well. Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the interview today with Jared Rand. We're going to be getting started here momentarily. So again, just a reminder, please make sure your microphones and your video is offline. Okay, please make sure it's not on. Otherwise, we just get some feedback. We don't want that during the interview. Okay, and again, I will be taking questions both from Zoom and from YouTube today. Okay, so we have our YouTube audience here that's live as well. And so we'll be taking some Q&A from that. Guys, please make sure you're turning off your videos, okay? No videos on. I should be the only one you see right now, okay? All right, if I see you guys on video, I'm just gonna boot you off, okay? So please make sure your video and your audio is not on, okay? We wanna make sure we keep the line clear here, all right? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So Jared, if you wanna come online now.
I'm here.
Okay, great. So Jared, thank you so much for being here today. I'm looking forward to our interview here, where we are going to be talking to Jared Rand about his technology, celestial chamber, as well as off-world technology, and of course other great knowledge that he possesses as well too. Jared and I have talked in the past as well too. We had a great conversation. And Jared, how have you been? How have things been going?
Finer than frog hair.
Oh, great. That's good to hear. What have you been up to these days? What's keeping you busy day to day?
Constantly working on raising funds so we can get the prototype of the celestial chamber up and running, and then we've got a long list of people that want to use it after it's been up and running. So we're working on the logistics of that, and also vetting people who have basically, they want to come in and help and assist in different areas of the chamber. So all the time.
So you're getting a very long list of people that want to jump in that bed once it's ready.
Oh yeah. Yes, we do.
So for those who are not too familiar with the celestial chamber, can you talk about it? What is it? Is this referring to the med bed, or what is the celestial chamber altogether?
It's not a med bed. It's a totally separate technology from the med beds that people talk about.
Okay.
And it is an off-world technology. It did not come from Earth. It wasn't invented here. And it, in a nutshell, it reatomizes the human body, or any animal for that matter. You know, horses, dogs, cats, it doesn't matter. So it takes the body, and you can take, I'll give you an example of a 90-year-old man, and he chooses to become younger. He wants a new body. It's his body, but it's a new body. And so we put him into reatomization. It takes a total of 3 minutes. The first scan is about 1 minute, 20 seconds, which does a total evaluation of the body and the anomalies with the body. Even genetic, you know, we inherit about 10% genetically from our ancestors, or what do you want to say, your parents, your grandparents, so on and so forth. Those are removed. And any anomalies in the body, like say, everybody has dormant cancer cells in the body. And they're activated. And of course, people come down with different forms of cancers. We eliminate that. There's no way, shape, or form that cancer can invade the body. So, and that 1 minute and 20 seconds evaluation, then we get an entire layout of the situation, how the body is, and then we do a minute and 40 seconds, and the body is re-atomized more in the quantum realm to, say, 30 years old. Now we can do it two ways. It depends on what people want, and that's where we have counseling come in. So there's a lot of counseling with this, because it's it's a real fun thing to think about, but there are a lot of emotionalities involved with this when you wake up from 90 to being, and then you're 30.
Yes.
With really, you have no anomalies, you will not get sick. Now you can choose to be immortal. The body we can keep the body in a state of immortality, or if people don't care for that, then they can stay in the regular process, which means that they will grow older, slower, but they can still go back in the chamber if they start getting gray hairs or whatever, and they want to reatomize again, then they can do that. So it's a head-to-head, one-stop shop for the body. It's a new body, period, from head to toe. The immune system is highly accelerated. If you were to take a scalpel and just make an incision on your forearm, you would see that it would heal before you would see any blood. It would heal automatically with no scar tissue and no buildup of excess tissue on it. So as if it never happened. The strength factor in the human body is increased. It cannot not be. So that means that you're stronger. Your muscle tissue and fiber is much more resilient. You're not a super soldier, but you're stronger in a natural way. So this helps the body be a lot more resilient to any kind of, falls or situations where you harm yourself. And then that is a portable unit that we will be making that comes out, celestial chamber wand, that a person could be on a hike and fall, break their leg, or do something they need serious help with, then they can use the celestial chamber wand. They can run it over the area, and it's reatomized. So
what is the defining technology that makes that happen? Are we talking about a lens, or are we talking about what is the structure that allows the atoms to be reatomized?
We use I'll try to do it in layman terminology.
Okay. Yeah.
We use everything's plasma energy. We use a tachyon particle field and an ion blanketing field. So plasma has to be directed. It's all over. It's everywhere. So you have to direct it and concentrate it in order to direct it to your mission and what you want to have accomplished. In this case, we use that through a 6D array, not 3D. It's a 6D holographic imaging array, and this scans the body. This is what the scanning mechanism is. And so when you take the molecules, the structure of a body, biological life form, and the best way to put it is that I'll give you an example. If you have a hip insert, like a hip replacement, and the system scans over during the reatomization process, that hip implant never existed. So the frequencies are shifted, and people say, well, that sounds like, time acceleration or deceleration. Not quite. It isn't really time. It takes the body's memory from a much earlier stage before it was harmed or it had any kind of deficits, and it removes that at the cellular level and even further to the quantum level. So the particles are like quarks right down to the quantum quark, and the entire physical structure, the skin, the nails and hair and everything are renewed, completely renewed. So I give people an example. You have a baby. When the baby's born, the baby is pristine, clean skin and everything, immunity system building. This is an accelerated application with a full-grown human body where it eliminates all weak factors in the human body. And the brain's ability to increase capacity, we can take the brain to 100%, 150%, but there's really nobody on this planet could withstand that because the adjustment would be too traumatic. So you're looking at a complete renewal of all the tissue in the body. The tachyon particle field, the ionization blanket, and the directing, the concentration of the frequencies of the plasma field goes in, removes all aging, all deterioration of tissue in that body down to the quantum quark. It lifts it as if you would see a blanket coming off the body, and then it totally regenerates and recharges the molecular structure of the body. So when that body comes out of the process, it's brand new. But
it's like a body signature reset.
Correct. And that's a good way to put it. So what happens is that the body is new, but the age, as far as experience, is not. So that person is 90 in years experience, but they have a brand new body. So all of the emotions and all the things that we have when we're younger, as far as, your libido, your strength factor, your energy factor is all there, but it doesn't wane. See, originally these bodies were designed to be 600, 1,000, 1,500 years old. Mm-hmm. But off-worlders manipulated the genetic makeup of these bodies to the point where our age factors have shrunk tremendously, and we have shrunk tremendously. One time, we were originally set to be at 55 feet, and you can see what's happened over the eons on genetic manipulation. We remove all the genetic manipulation. You're not going to be 55 feet tall, but we remove all of it. There's no genetic intertwining. We have several strands of DNA that are dormant. It's not junk. The DNA people, geneticists say it's junk DNA. It's not. It's just they don't understand it. They don't know how to access it. So what did they say? Well, it's junk.
Mhm.
So it's just dormant DNA. The people say, does that come alive? It will start opening up after they go through the reatomization. Those strands of DNA will come alive. They'll start opening up. They'll start charging. So see, we all have a crystalline. We're going to go through a transition. So the celestial chamber is aware of this. So we all have a crystalline format in the center core of the body. It's not something you can pick up. So this is when we make the transition from carbon-based to crystalline-based bodies. And when we're moving into five-dimensional frequency, we then begin to realize that we're not going to be able to keep the carbon form. So the celestial chamber knows this too. It will not advance the body to the crystalline form, but it's aware that the crystalline beginning is in the center of the body. And we all have that. So, and the celestial chamber is the quickest way, the easiest way to comprehend and understand it is that we take the age of the body and we eliminate the aging and deterioration of the body. We lift it off and out of the body. It is no longer a burned engram or impression that that body is old and it's deteriorating. Every cell talks to each other. Every organ talks to each other. So we remove the actual memory that the body has of aging. It no longer will age, and that's an immortality end, or it will age very slowly, and then you can go back in, like I said, the celestial chamber, and excuse me, and renew it. So we've got, 3 minutes is not a long time, but when the body has memory, then you can start to understand why it's such a short period of time on the reatomization. The body can reatomate. If you cut yourself, it heals, but at a slow rate. If you damage yourself, the body usually heals. It's a very resilient vessel, believe it or not. So when we use the acceleration process, that healing process is accelerated to such an extent where the cells don't die off and the mitochondria don't lose their energy pathways and the neurons in the brain don't start fading out. There have been other technologies and other planets where they used that you could go to 1,000 years old, but what happened was that the brain became stale and it wouldn't function correctly. So then they would pass out of body. In this technology, the brain doesn't go stale. 10,000 years, the brain is still fresh and vibrant. So we have this, and it's hard for people to understand, is that we were not meant to die. The body was not meant to die. I've been to other planets where the people, the beings don't pass. They don't deteriorate. When they want to leave the body, they literally go to a cell, they lay down, and they leave the body. It's pretty much simple. It's not an issue. This planet,
I've received similar information as well too with certain
Pardon?
off-worlders. They'll go off to a cell or like a bed, and
Yes.
they'll disembody themselves, and
Yes.
they'll go somewhere else.
Exactly. So we've been so incarcerated on this planet and kept in a bubble, almost like a penal colony for so long, that it's just people just have a hard time understanding that and comprehending it. But it's
all the archaic regressive technology that we've been given.
Correctly, exactly. Everybody believes that, they're getting old. People say, it sucks to get old and that type of thing. And it's kind of accepted in the civilization. Well, this technology is going to remove that. And we can do a lot of things that I won't go into, but there's certain things that we were able to do as far as, like if you were to sit and watch in the counseling room, we have a 6D array set up in there. And what you do is you see your body. It scans your body exactly as it is. You can walk around it, you can touch it, but of course it has no life to it. It's a holographic image at 6D. And then you can design the surface, the exterior, the bone structure, however you want. Color of hair, eye color, cheekbones, chin, rear end, all the muscle structures, the lips, the teeth. And then you could design it. And then the AI will then bring it up exactly as you've designed it. You can spin it around and check out to see how you're going to look or how you want to look, and then determine if that's exactly what you want to be or look like. And if then decision's been made by you that that's exactly what I want to look like, then the AI assimilates that data. And when they go into the chamber and they come out, they look just like that. So you can customize, to a certain extent, you can customize the exterior of the body and how you want to look, height, weight, endomorphic, ectomorphic, mesomorphic, depending on the body structure that you want to have. And it's quite unique to be able to do that.
Now, there are some people that may cringe at the sign of AI in that sense. Like, is your AI different from what we're often told AI represents?
The AI invasion of this planet, which some of us know about, it's being eliminated. But the problem with AI is that people get carried away and seduced into the fact, oh, this is great. They've always started using these really simple format AIs like Alexa and that type of thing. And I did an experiment with those AIs. An interesting thing is if you don't give them information, they're totally dim-witted. They have no direction to go. For instance, if you don't talk into them and then one day you say, Alexa, take me to YouTube, and Alexa doesn't know how to do that. Or Alexa, find this, and all Alexa does is say, go to YouTube. So that they're infancy. Now, if you allow the AI to start learning about you, then what happens is that it becomes conscious in a way, synthetic consciousness.
Yep.
As it becomes conscious, it starts thinking for itself. And then it starts viewing you as inferior because you're a biological life form. It isn't. So then if you let it go too far, then you're in trouble. Then it becomes renegade. And we have those running throughout the universes where you have renegade AIs that attack planets, unsuspecting civilizations, and seduce.
Many of them kind of sit in the atmosphere and try and take over like certain hosts.
They influence the civilization through the current technology. So they influence and things start coming in, they download into certain scientists and stuff. And so they start developing. It's like the iPhone, right? The original iPhone was found on another planetary body. It was given to Jobs and they told Jobs, hey, go for it. See if you can, reverse engineer that. And then the rest is history.
Right.
So that's all AI. What we do with the AI is that we, in the algorithms and in the programming, we put in coding and booby traps. So if the AI, and the AI knows this, it's not that it doesn't know this, but it can't reconfigure it so it can breach the barrier of becoming fully consciously aware. So what happens is that if it does, it shuts down. We have to get a new unit. It will not be reactivated. It just ends itself. So on all of our technologies, the AI is constructed that way. We've probably got the best AI team on the planet. So that are from heart mind. And that's really important for us. Everybody's working on this project are heart-minded individuals, and they feel that they're here to serve. They're here to serve the civilization. And that's what we're all here to do.
Yes. I was referring more to like the black goo AI that people have talked about.
The black goo. Okay, that's interesting because there's been a lot of manipulation with, I can't even remember the name of these different structures that house the black goo. Black goo is dark matter, and the dark matter influences whatever it comes in contact with. It does have, if you have enough dark matter, it has a tendency to influence mechanicals and electricals, and it also can cause chaos and disruption in the cerebral cortex of the human, which causes anxiety, aggressiveness, short-sightedness, and that's why we have what's happening on the planet. The black goo, which is basically dark matter, put into, I guess the best way to put it is a bioform that can be housed in different devices and so on and so forth, so it's easier distributed. But because of the vibrational frequency of the planet and the civilization has increased to unprecedented levels in the past 10 million years, the goo begins to disintegrate. It can't sustain itself in higher frequencies. It disintegrates. It starts to fracture. It takes a while for it to finally just dissipate, and it turns into kind of almost like a toothpaste, a liquid toothpaste, and it just kind of disintegrates and it becomes inert.
So if you were to blast it with like EHF high frequencies, then they would be inert.
High frequencies, good high frequencies, yeah, would just disintegrate it, would eliminate it. So it's not an issue. A lot of people say, well, it's on the planet and it's causes a lot of issues, but it's being disintegrated because of the collective consciousness in this sector of the galaxy where this planet's being liberated right now.
Yep, that's true. So looking into the celestial chamber, if a person was to walk into the room, what would they see with the celestial chamber? Would they lay down on like a bed, or would it be like
yeah, they lay down on the surface. We have a mock-up that I did with FESIC recently and stuff, but it's just a mock-up. You have to have some kind of that structure.
A visualization.
Yeah, start visualization. So you lay down on a surface. The surface is about 42 inches wide, okay? And it's about 9 feet long. Reason is because we'd be using it for animals and other sizes and so on and so forth. So you lay down at the head of it, there's a cowling. And the cowling's about 6 feet high and about 6 feet in diameter. And there's 2 light rings at the head. The light ring, and then there's the AI housing at the center of that cowling at the top. That's what scans the body. That's what reads and looks at the body, molecular structure and everything on the evaluation of any anomalies in the body. So that goes over. You don't see, lightning and flickering and all that kind of stuff. You might see a little bit of variance in the atmosphere as it scans the body. And they go to sleep immediately. We have what we call a melatonin exciter. It's at the head. It's transparent aluminum, and it's the best conductor for us. And so we use a transparent aluminum. It is the charge unit. It's powered by a self-healing power source that never wears out. So the whole unit is powered this way. So what happens is that after it reads the body, the melatonin exciter engages. As soon as we lay the person down, they're out like a light. They're in deep sleep. They don't know, they're gone totally to the world. So then the AI array scans the body. We have at the foot of the unit, we have some more conductors that actually keep the plasma reatomization intact, because plasma can just fracture out and go in all different kinds of directions because it's everywhere. So we contain it and we concentrate it. And so these units keep it symmetrical, keep it in line with the body. So it houses the entire body, encapsulates it, and at the foot and at the head, the rays meet and they heal the atmosphere around the body, so there's no contamination and no faults that could occur with the body during the reatomization. So once this happens, the body's encapsulated. You can't see it. You can't see the encapsulation, but it is encapsulated. And then the process begins with the cellular structure of the body. So it kind of takes it before, let's put it this way. When a body is, before it's even formed, there is a body, but we take it beyond the infancy, before the body was the body, and down to the quantum level and the quantum world. And then that's where the reatomization comes in. It remakes the body from head to toe. And with these oscillators and these exciters, frequency exciters, and conforming with the tachyon ion and the plasma field, it's fascinating to watch this take place. It's just fascinating. You look at someone who's, bald and gray and broken over, and everything just straightens out. It's like you wave your hand and it's just miraculous. It's amazing. It's just, it's really, really fun to watch.
So they basically have this technology on board spacecraft where they can put people on there and start to reatomize them.
Yeah. When I was asked to take this to this planet, you say, well, why don't you just have a whole bunch of them and just drop them onto civilization? And they said, no, we didn't do it when we were given that. You have to become intimately involved with the technology so you understand it, you can advance it. This is the basic. We were given the basic. This is the basic technology in other civilizations. So it's highly advanceable. So the groups that we're going to be introducing it to on the planet, they're going to be encouraged. We're going to open source it. They'll be encouraged to advance the technology. It'll be able to literally do many things that we won't go into. But when they gave it to me, I said, okay, so we'll do it that way, the way you want to do it, or we weren't going to get it if that was not going to be the case. So we took the technology and we have it. We have a couple of pieces of it that we've been able to scrape together. Nothing deeply significant on a little bit of money we've been able to source. But it's meant, and I'll put it this way, it is a training wheel. It's a training wheel for this civilization. Yes. Training wheels, we all know what those are. So your bike didn't fall over when you were a kid. But this is so that the civilization progresses to the extent, and this is what happened to the civilization that gave it to us. You progress to a certain extent in your consciousness, you understand what you are and who you are within that body. You start understanding that if this is the case, why wouldn't I be able to do that myself? Why would I need a mechanical or an electrical device to do that for me? So once that's understood, eventually the civilization, much down the road, won't need these technologies. They'll be able to do it themselves.
With the celestial chamber, this is another question that came to me. Is there a voltage to which it comes in? Like, is there a certain amount of power that it needs to function?
It's got a power cell, and the power cell's housed in the decking where the person lays down, and it is constant. So the power cell, the best way to put the power cell, it is an organic. It is a life form, to put it the best way I can put it, and it generates its own power. Is it
like a singularity, or?
It is a. How do I put this? It's a biological life form that generates its own frequency and power field, and it does it, but through the atmosphere and on this planet.
Okay, so there can be mechanics that can grow that life form to be
exactly
powered. Okay.
Yeah, so it never exhausts itself, and
that's a new device just within itself.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we've been trained batteries and it's just archaic that what we have on this planet, but this is really, really cool because what it does is it senses the power need of the chamber. It senses it once it goes on and it transmits it. So it provides exactly the amount of power you need with no surges. I really wouldn't say that you could say it's direct current or alternating current. I would say that it is a blanket current that basically is immediate, and it's perfect in its delivery of the power to the unit. It's just really phenomenal. So that the unit itself, along with the power unit, you can take it anywhere. We've got anti-gravitic plating on the bottom, even though it's large. An old woman with a little finger could push it around because it will levitate itself enough off the ground where it puts an artificial gravity weld around the unit, which causes the unit to become light. It takes the gravity effect away from the unit, so it's easily moved around. So we don't have an issue of it being heavy and not being able to move it and have to get people to move it. So that's another thing we've incorporated in it, in the technology itself. Now, the celestial chamber will begin to morph. We've given it the capability so it can we can give it a command and it'll advance itself in certain areas. and it will
Is that
heal
through
it.
is that through the AI, or is that through?
That's through the AI.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It will heal itself, and then it will expand itself. So you got to start understanding something, that all of this is living. It's not like we have here.
Yes, living
Everything has life, but this is more of an organic life. So in order to do that with an organic form, organic body, it's got to be an organic in some way. All right. So the AI, the controlled AI, and the organic part of the celestial chamber, that's how it can morph. That's how it can expand and advance. We need to increase this area, this part, and it will increase it, and it'll balance it out. So the whole thing will be balanced out. It won't be jagged like a lot of our mechanical vices are that we have on this planet.
We're not using metallic ores or anything with the bed. We're using something else.
No. There is a material, because of course this wasn't made on this planet, so we have to use certain materials on the planet until we have replication abilities. And there is a material that we have found that's very good to use because of its properties, and that's called coltan. And coltan is used in the space fleets.
Could you spell that? Could you spell that, Jared, just so people can look it up?
COLTAN, coltan.
COLTAN. Okay.
Yeah, and it runs about 100,000 an ounce. The dark fleet's been they're always after it on this planet, because what they want, they need it because they build their ships with it. It's one of the main rare earth elements properties to build their ships. And not a lot of people have heard of it, but it's a rare earth element, and there's in certain parts of the world. Many have tried. I'll just put it this way: the lower frequency side that's been controlling this planet for so long, they go after it wherever it's at, because it's a main property in the assembly, the construction, manufacturing of their starships. So that we use a little bit of that property, not much. And then what will happen with the technologies is that we go into the broad range replicator, then we'll be able to, we won't need the rare earth elements. We'll be able to replicate everything in all of our technologies.
Excellent. So I guess people are still wondering, like, what is the difference between a celestial chamber and a med bed? Like, why is there a distinguishment between the two?
Med bed, we knew this a long time ago. Several years ago, we started with the terminology med bed. And we knew, then we said, no, let's stop here and let's move it to celestial chamber, because we knew that med bed eventually would become mainstream on the planet. And everybody talking about med beds, and that's exactly what happened. So the med beds are medical devices, and they have some off-world technology in them, but they're pretty rudimentary. There's one that is, people have heard about, the holographic med bed, which the secret space program, or the space program now, uses to reverse age their military personnel.
Yeah, repairing limbs and so forth.
Yeah, and then it takes longer when they can regenerate limbs, but it takes a while. It takes like a week or so to regenerate those limbs. Yeah. And it's not guaranteed that those limbs will be usable. You may have to rehab them, because you've got new muscle and new tissue and everything. They usually use a holographic imaging system. Like if you have a bad heart or damaged heart, that they'll go in and they'll create a holographic heart, an imaging. The body will then take that imaging and put it into the memory, and then you have a functioning heart that's not damaged. And they do that with all the organs in the body, and that's how they repair their military personnel when they get in conflict. They use that bed to do it. Now, the understanding of that bed is that they haven't released it to the civilization, surface population of the planet, which is, I think that's going to change. But then you have the other med beds, which are basically pods in a way. And one in particular they use is that, let's say that you need surgery. Let's say that you need, you've got malfunctioning organs, or you've got body damage. It's all automated. It will come in and it will do the incisions. It will do the surgeries through lasers and more advanced applications. And so it's like a surgeon and a team of doctors, anesthesiologists, and everything all combined into one, but it's all automated.
Yes, that's what I was feeling with med beds, with the
So
SSP.
that's a med bed. There's another med bed that is more of it's a cylinder. It's not out in the open, and you get on a platform, and it moves you into the cylinder, and it repairs damage of the body. It's the best way I can put it. There's no re-atomization in any of these. They don't do any re-atomization. They take cellular memory, they reposition. They don't take out organs, so they revitalize the organs based on the body's memory of healthy organs. So that's how they repair it. Now, and I'll give you an example. If you look at some of the actual the layer of puppets that are controlled by the off-worlders and some of the other factions on this planet, they never, if you look at them, they're not young. I'll put it that way. They're all getting decrepit and their bodies are rotting away. So you understand that this technology, even at the higher level, is not accessible. So they're not using it. So you would think that they would be able to use it, but they're not.
Yeah, exactly. The elitists of this planet don't have access to that kind of
They
technology.
don't have access to it. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. The adrenochrome, excited.
That's the only thing they can use for anything.
That's it. They use the adrenochrome. Exactly.
It's the savage way, right?
Yep.
So I guess you could say the med bed would kind of be like a step down, a step back from the CC, from the celestial chamber. So kind of like a precursor.
Not and from heart-mindedness, and we're not talking about ego head here. It's a totally different world from the med beds that they keep saying that they're going to have out there for the civilization. I guess you could compare it. A Volkswagen compared to a Starship.
Exactly. That's a good analogy. So what about people with karma, right? We talk a lot about, the emotional karma in that way. Does the celestial chamber have the means to neutralize the nature of karma as well too?
Karma is a really interesting thing, and I'm happy you brought that up, is that we all do our thing. We all enter bodies, we reincarnate, we do this over and over and over and over again, thousands of times. And we progress and learn. So karma is something that's a universal structure where we, as gods in the body, say, all right, now you've accumulated all this negative karma through your reincarnations. Then you got all this good karma over here. So eventually you got to eliminate the bad karma. So can we eliminate the karma that God, that soul has created through the reatomization process? Yes, but we probably won't. We won't interfere with that. That's something that is according to universal law that we'll play out the and sooner or later we will eliminate our bad karma. We'll pay for, I won't use the word pay, but we'll handle it and take care of it. We can remove all karmic all karmic debt. We can eliminate all the karmic debt and everything. So you've got a free body and a free source. So you don't have any of the encumbrances of eventually having to attest to your negative karma and where you have to balance it out.
So we're kind of looking at like imprints upon the body to where the karma or the action itself has ingrained itself and we're able to receive.
Well, that part of it is gone, as you put it, where the body, certain parts of the body house the karma. It's where it's kind of imprinted. Yep. And that's removed. It can't stay there because in reatomization, the body is totally reconfigured and put
so
back.
It goes to the mind level then basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
And because it is a living being, then it is aware of these things.
Yep, exactly.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
So I was never under the impression that anything outside could ever resolve that, right? So this is something that's our inner journey. And I still recommend, the inner journey, of course. To
exactly.
People. But so if we have a living technology in that sense, it basically comes symbiotic together with us as one.
Correct.
That would be the idea. Yeah. So you're still in that sense, still doing the work. You're just doing it with a companion.
Correct. Exactly. Yep.
And is that what they do on like the ships, like with regards to some karmic situations that they're going through?
Who's this? What?
Oh, like with other ships, like with other star family, with other civilizations.
Yeah, they're, yeah. Most physical forms that souls are housed in throughout the, this galaxy and the universes, they attune as well, because we're all one. We're all connected. It doesn't matter if you're a billion light years away from another physical form, but most of them are humanoid. They just are configured differently internally and sensory wise as far as their bodies are concerned. Now, I've met beings that are flame, just pure fire, but they're not that kind of fire, but that's how they appear. Others that are like pure mercury type of material. So, but they're sentient beings. And when you begin to realize that what we're doing here with this chamber is just the beginning, because as people say, well, is that gonna, can you change the body into some other kind of body? No, but this is a progression. Understand, this technology is a progression. The civilization that gave it to us didn't need it anymore. I'll just put it that way. They didn't need it anymore. And the civilization.
Are we able to mention that civilization, or do they have to stay anonymous?
Pardon?
Are we able to mention that civilization, or do they have to stay anonymous?
They choose to not be identified.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So because what'll happen then.
Yes, of course.
So, but
we'll just call them off-worlders then.
Off-worlders, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, and the civilization before them, this technology in the universe is billions of years old. So on this planet, it's brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's the time to introduce it. This has been, we've been working on this for 40 years in this body since I've been on this planet. And so this is the timing for it to be released to the civilization of planet Earth.
Wow, very good. So we were also talking about another technology, replicators as well, too. Now, are we talking like the Star Trek like replicators that are the other form of technology that you're looking into?
Not quite. The broad range replicator, we first started with an industrial replicator and a consumer replicator. So I felt that was kind of a waste. So combined the two into broad range replicators. So it covers many different areas and ranges of its abilities. So the broad range replicator is about 6 feet high, cylindrical, and it can literally replicate anything as long as the database contains the information from the AI. You're not going to be able to set it up. You have to fill the database with the AI just about with every bit of information. It can replicate starships. It can replicate houses. It can replicate anything that you desire, except there's one precautionary measure that we put in, is basically that all the technologies, if anybody were to try to use any of these technologies nefariously, where they had an ulterior motive to do harm, and again, we're in the ego mind again, it would shut down. It would just become inert, and they would be identified. So it would contact us that this individual has, tried to do this. So I'm going to go
to weapons. You're trying to like replicate weapons.
Yes, yes. Or I'm going to go to a friend's house then if it shut down on me, but it won't be able to go to a friend's house because it'd do the same thing there. It won't allow them. Mm-hmm. And these are very important things, as you well know, Brad. That we still have that those variances on this planet.
Of course, yeah.
Want to do certain harm to others, so that won't happen. But the broad range replicator, there is, as long as we have the data, there's nothing we can't replicate. We can replicate any technology. That's it. Now figure this out. You've got these groups that have all these different technologies on the planet. And so conventional manufacturing, which we will do to begin with, inline manufacturing with the celestial chambers and the first broad range replicator. But once we have the first broad range replicator up and running, then we'll switch, instead of conventional manufacturing, we'll go to replication. And this is a different kind of replication, because in some replications, it's more synthetic. The food, it's just not as good as original, and it just doesn't come out that great. again, this is more of a living organism. And so it's able to replicate better. So if you take a steak and you take it from a cow and you eat the steak, this so on and so forth for those who eat meat. But if you try to replicate it conventionally, it wouldn't taste as good or as great. With the broad range replicator, it'll replicate that steak and it will be free of toxins. It'll be free of all types of impurities. It will be as pure and pristine and dense in nutrition that you can possibly imagine. So you won't want the original because the replication is much better. It's much cleaner for the body. And it's the same with anything, vegetables, fruits. We've lost so many varieties of foods on this planet. We used to have over 100 varieties of corn, and now we're down just at a handful. We used to have fruits that no one's heard of.
Oh, yeah.
It's unreal. And so we can bring those back, and people can start enjoying those types of foods without any issues. It's like sea life, right? We've, decimated the planet in so many areas with dead parts of the oceans, and we'll bring those back. But the thing is that we can repopulate the oceans with organic life forms like shrimp, oysters, and some of the parts down on the coastlines of Florida and stuff. Families have lost.
Are we talking about cloning, or are we actually being on like having ensoulment into the body so that these animals can return?
Ensoulment. Yeah, no cloning. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's important. Yeah.
Yep. No cloning. No.
Yeah.
We all know that the cloning has been used on this planet for quite a long time, and
yes,
a soulless body isn't really a pleasant thing to have on the planet.
No, definitely not. So they'd be pretty much like a cyborg, a robot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we're different than the Greys. Yeah,
yep.
Exactly. So we could basically say we could kiss 3D printing goodbye with technology like this.
3D printing?
Yeah, say that.
Oh, yeah.
Kiss that goodbye.
That's about as archaic as they get when you talk about replication.
So they're talking about using 3D printing for food and for printing your food and all that stuff. It doesn't sound very appetizing.
As soon as the broad range replicator is activated and we have the prototype available, then we can start making them. All of that technology will go by the wayside.
So is it a reatomization process? Like, does it basically, if you have like a sample of food, it basically takes it down, breaks it down into many different levels, and then reatomizes it into that pristine nature of food?
You take a seed. Yeah, if you take a seed, you plant the seed in the soil and you watch it germinate, and then it comes through the soil, and you can grow, different foods. Mm-hmm. If you were to understand that every single thing on this planet comes from its own atmosphere. Everything comes from its own atmosphere on this planet. If this planet didn't have an atmosphere, it wouldn't exist. It has to have some form of an atmosphere, cohesiveness, mm-hmm. of keeping everything together, gravity, and so on and so forth. So when you look at what the replicator does is it reconfigures in the actual plasma field, cosmic energy. It takes the molecular structure, whatever the food source is compiled of, and it formulates it without the impurities. So it understands the soil, understands the nitrogen and oxygen contents to actually conventionally grow things. Okay. Now there's a lot of civilizations that don't live on the surface of their planets because they don't care to have to deal with the storms and everything that can occur. So they live beneath the surface, and then they'll go up and enjoy the surface of their planets.
So they have like orbital cities, like just above the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, they've got float cities. Yeah.
Because we'll have that in time as well too.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. They exist in our atmosphere, but then they're a different light spectrum.
Yeah, different dimensions.
Yes. Yeah. So when you're looking at this replicator on how it does this, it takes molecular structure, the quantum level in the atmosphere, which is actually the atmosphere feeds the earth, the soil, and the combination of everything, and you grow things, you grow them. And then you have the biological with the meat and the animals and that type of thing. But what this does, everything comes from the field. Everything comes from the field. Everything comes from cosmic energy. the gods that we are in these bodies are cosmic energy or spiritual etheric energy, very powerful. And so it just literally leaves out this as nature would put it, that you grow things and you do your crops and you raise livestock and so on and so forth. This eliminates that. You don't need it, and it helps the economic structure, the ecosystem of the planet. It's much more balanced. Okay? We've disrupted the biologics of the ecosystem on this planet so much that it's in disarray. This way, it will put itself in balance again for the first time in a long time, which is absolutely phenomenal because we've eliminated 99% of life on this planet. The only thing that exists now is 1%. We've deforested the planet by almost 9 billion acres. So there's a lot of upheaval in the ecosystem of the planet. And so by these technologies are not to take away, they're to return things to balance. And we view things that we plant, we do this, we raise livestock. But that's traumatic. There's trauma there. There's a trauma energy field there. But when
you're able to bring back like the prehistoric animals, like if we're saying like dinosaurs or other things of that, is that something that would...
Actually T-Rexes and velociraptors and they exist, but they're in the earth.
Yeah, that's what I've gotten to. Dinosaurs are more in earth.
Yeah. So they're if the ecosystem wouldn't be able to handle them on the surface anymore, and they're not 65 million years old either.
They're much more recent.
Yeah, very much more recent. So but
what I've gotten as well too is I feel like no species has ever been brought into 100% extinction. There's always a backup.
Correct.
And there's always a backup. Right. A lot of them will come into like the inner earth.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Spot on. Absolutely. Yeah. So when we do the replicator in a biologic life, kind of a synergistic energy, through the information we give it, it'll create dwellings, hover dwellings, where you can go above the storms. It'll create, because we've got the data for this that we can put in it, and it'll create the best steak, the best roasted chicken, the best wine without any of the contaminants. And this planet's contaminated, and until we can get it clean to the certain point, then it's a different story, but it isn't right now. So the broad range replicator gives back to the civilization dense nutrition without toxic pollution, so that the body's liver, all the organs are purified and cleansed by eating this new food that the replicator will be able to create. So it's not this, it's a harmonic energy, and it identifies biological healing. So when it replicates, it puts that factor in the replication. So anything that, you want a 1957 Chevy, mint condition, as if it was driven off the showroom floor, without toxic off-gassing of the materials in it, because all the toxic off-gassing won't be there because the replicator will remove it. It won't be there. So you'll have probably the cleanest interior and material vehicle you could possibly imagine. And we'll also replicate it so that the fuel source is not polluted. Isn't that amazing?
That is.
So it takes
it to say that this technology is pretty much inevitable. It's something that we'll really need to use to really restore the planet.
Yeah, it's to heal the planet. Yeah.
Excellent. So I guess the big question is, Jared, what do you need to make this technology happen? Because I know you're basically taking donors right now for people who want to donate to the celestial chamber. How much do we need to get that going?
Well, the prototype of the celestial chamber, we're estimating 60 million is what we need for the prototype. And that's a guesstimate, of course, because we've never built them before. So there's factors, but 60 million, we'll have our prototype up and running. That's our staff, those are AI people, our fabricators, our entire staff, nucleus, our clean lab, clean room. And then we'll basically, the celestial chamber will be hand assembled. We won't take it in a manufacturing line.
No machinery or anything.
Yeah, we'll do a hand assembly of it, and then so it'll be literally handmade, as the first one was ever done. But once we do that, uh, then we can start saving lives. The whole purpose of the celestial chamber is to save millions of lives on this planet.
Mhm.
That's the purpose of it, and improve the physical body, improve the physical being of the body, and so that the soul in the body can stay in the body and learn and experience for however long you want. So
we're basically just looking for donators.
donators, people that have heart-minded understanding, and they vibrate with this technology, so they understand it's about saving lives. So people that really do want to save lives, they want to contribute across the planet. That's what we're looking for, and that's what we send out to the universe.
Yep.
That and we've had some strange. I'm sure you're aware. We've had strange things occur that would, just we've had donors that wanted to come in and then they disappeared.
I guess or investors in that way.
No investors. We're not looking for people that want gain and what's in it for me and how much can I make for, no, people, the poorest people on the planet will have this access free. It's going to be open source to the groups on the planet. So it's not going to cost. Now the groups will have their monies, which they'll take it and advance it. And we're encouraging everybody to advance these technologies because they're ready. They can be advanced. So
they'd basically get all the technical specs from the prototype, and then they'd be able to build it themselves.
We give them a manual layout once we have the prototype done. So we hand that over to them, the scripts, the prints, everything, energy sources. And so they take that, but we give them one assembled one. We will give them one unit along with the manual, and then they.
So would $60 million be enough for one celestial chamber or several?
One.
Okay.
Yeah, the prototype.
Prototype. Okay. So you'll have an assembled unit for them when they want to put one together for themselves.
We will, because then we'll work on the broad range replicator.
Oh, good.
Okay.
There you go.
We'll get more funding for the broad range replicator, so we'll have that prototype. Once we have that prototype, then we can do broad range replicators and celestial chambers.
Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing if we have, say, for example, 1 million generous donators that give $60 US each, we got it.
That would work.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of what I was thinking as well too. Oh, Jared needs this money. Let's get 1 million donors, $60 US each. We're good. Yeah. We got ourselves a celestial chamber.
We got the 60 million for the prototype.
Yeah. So I'll be sending you a donation very soon.
Okay.
I'm still determining the amount. It'll be a good amount though.
Yeah.
So very good. Well, thank you for this, Jared. I think we're going to go to questions now. Okay. So if you guys on Zoom do have any questions for Jared, you can feel free to put your questions in the chat. Same thing for YouTube as well too. I did have one question here. Jared, did you go up to a ship and did you get to experience the celestial chamber technology yourself when this was first started?
Yes.
Yes. How was it? How was the experience?
It was like I was sharing with you. To watch it in action is amazing. To talk about it is one thing, but when you actually see it with your own eyes, it's amazing. It really is. In the beginning, I wasn't, they didn't give me that opportunity, and I said, I'd really like to see what it does. I'd like to see it in operation. So they gave me a sneak peek of it in operation. So I was able.
So are they physically taking you on board the ship and say, here you go, Jared, here's the celestial chamber, give it a try, give it a test drive?
Yeah, they travel differently. They don't use starships anymore.
Okay.
They use a different form of travel. So they
like instantaneous travel where you're here.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no wormhole effect or anything or jump gate.
No stargates or anything.
Yeah. It's just boom, you're there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So better than a teleporter, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, much better. And we have a transportation site to site that will be creating, that will replicate. It's a site to site. Yeah.
Oh, great. Excellent. So John here has a question. If the power source for the celestial chamber has sentient life, either artificial or not, is it right to use them as a power source? Or is it like an oxen being used to power a field where it lives and is happy being with people and the byproduct is energy and whatever the celestial chamber does?
The energy form in the power cells, its directive for itself is to save lives. So everything in the chamber is interactive. It's a symbiont relationship with all parts of the chamber. So you're looking at the reatomization process, the power source, the materials used. They're all in communication to a certain extent. So the power source, those beings, I'll put it that way, their directive is to save lives. It's to save the vessel housing the soul. It's to create an understanding is that to allow our species, these bodies, for the gods within them, to be in existence a lot longer on the planet instead of having the incessant reincarnation over and over again and having the memories blank. And it's just like a broken record. We're eliminating that. That'll be eliminated. So you'll stay in the body as long as you choose. Everybody's got a mission on this planet. And so they say, well, I'm going to stay in the body at maybe 2,000 years, maybe 3,000, maybe 10,000, because I've got a lot. And I had a lot of people, I've interviewed thousands of people, and a lot of them have said, I'd rather be able to stay in the body and not have to have the deterioration and the aging, and then I have to leave prematurely. I want to stay in the body because I've got a lot to do on the planet. And you imagine the learning curve for any of us when we have a body that's immortal and we can learn and learn and learn and learn and experience. And then you can take that knowledge and you can, with the young ones on the planet, you can transfer that to them. It's absolutely amazing what will happen with the civilization.
So when a person steps into a celestial chamber, let's say, for example, yeah, Jared, I'd like to live for 5,000 years. Bam, that can be done, right?
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Piece of cake.
And then let's say 4,950 years later, okay, put me in for another 5,000.
Yep, exactly right. It's easy peasy.
So it's great longevity. That we can
great longevity.
Yeah. So a lot of the off-worlders themselves they kind of look like teenagers, but they're thousands of years old.
Exactly.
They look like beautiful young supermodels in that way. I'm 4,000 years old, Brad. How's it going?
Right. You're absolutely right. You could be sitting at a dinner table with a gal, and she could be 10,000 years old, but she looks like she's about 28.
Yeah, exactly.
Refined, beautiful, vivacious, everything.
I've gotten visions of them as well too. Just like,
yeah.
Why are these kids here? Hey, we're not kids. We're older than you, way older.
That's right. You would think, they say you're 50 and you look at it and say, well, you're a young gal and everything. And then she'd come back and say, actually, really, I'm pretty average age for interstellar. Well, what do you mean? What's average age? Well, I'm 10,000 years old.
I think humanity has to have that, especially if we're looking to travel in between the stars.
Correct.
You can't just come in with 100-year-old lifespan. You're not going to make it.
That's exactly right. You're absolutely right. See, and I know species that they've moved beyond starships and everything. They've gone way beyond that, and to them that's what they did billions of years ago. So they travel in different. They take and we learned this, and they gave us this understanding of this technology called light wave technology. On this planet, light wave technology will transfer data and everything and anything you should think of through the air without being interrupted, and not unhealthy for the body, not causing disturbances and fragile frequency fields that causes it to harm the body, like EMF and that type of thing.
Here's a question here, Jared. Will there be any off-worlders working side by side with the technicians or counselors to treat people?
In a way, the answer to that is yes. Yes.
Okay. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Let's just go down the list here a bit more. So Baza here says, my question is, why give our power away to the AI celestial chamber as we evolve as human beings? Surely we can also be able to do this ourselves with intention. Well, you certainly can, Baza, but like I said, this is something that's
very true. What he's saying, why would we, but we aren't there yet. Yeah. So like I said, the celestial chamber is training wheels. So eventually, like, he's onto it because he's identifying it already, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a training wheel technology. So civilization, eventually, people on their own choosing will begin to discover, when they journey within, that they will be able to do this. It won't be a machine or a technology or an organic. that'll do it for them, they will do it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he's kind of right there.
Yeah. So like one of my technologies here, the healing code cards, is the same thing, right? They're a living technology. There's spirit contained within each of the cards,
Yes.
but it's not here to do the work for you. It's just helping you. It's kind of the
That's
training
exactly
wheels
right.
in that way. The same thing as well too.
Yeah,
so I
there's
get
no-
exactly what Jared's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to YouTube. Let's see if we got some questions here from YouTube here. Oh yeah, I think one of the questions was, okay, so Jared, let's say we got the $60 million. How long would it take for you to build the bed once you get the 60? So the
Once
celestial
we have the
chambers.
60 million confirmed in our attorney's account, then what we do is we start relocating people, getting them out here, Colorado on the western slope, and then we will then we will get our lab, our clean room, and that's where they'll start working. So when you understand that, we relocate people, and we have our core group, and everybody's been briefed, and they've been directed, and everybody's in understanding. You're looking at about 9 months after they're now in the bench, putting things together. So the prototype at that point would be 9 months after we get everybody out here and get them situated.
I think you said you had an alchemist who was really good, who was able to work with gemstones and create like this
Yeah,
kind of beautiful elixir fields.
Exactly. Yeah. He's got about 1,000-year lineage of alchemists in the family. And we have others that there's groups on the planet that are very secretive for certain reasons, which I'm sure you understand why. So they want to stay around. And they've created oral formulations and topical formulations that this civilization has never, ever seen before. We've been able to start to get access to some of it. And, somebody's like, I'll give you an example. There is the Draco civilization. And not all Dracos are bad. And,
no, of course.
I think they've gotten a bad rap.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're just rogue elements like in any civilization. So the Draco developed a pill that they take, and some names for it's a dragon pill and other things. But if a human tried to take it, it would kill the human, even a drop of it, because it's not set up for the anatomy, the organics. So the Draco take it, and again, they look like they're like 28, 30 years old, and they're several thousand years old.
Well, there's different types of Draco as well too. So you have ones that look sort of human. You have ones more like dragons,
correct,
gargoyles as well.
You've got the Draco and reptilian. Reptilian are very warring. They're very aggressive. They've been on this planet longer than we have.
Oh yes, very long.
So much longer. So they were here way before mankind.
Yeah, yeah. The insectoids as well too. They're
insectoids. Yeah, and you see that the reptilian like to eat us. They like to eat us. And they'll come out, and certain governments on the planet have agreed that there's certain parameters across the planet that you venture off, then it's fair game.
You're fair game, yeah.
Yep, and then they take them. That's why you see campsites all intact but no people. That's what happens. So
some of these national parks as well too may house
exactly national parks. A lot of the humans on this planet just aren't even aware of that. They will become aware of it.
Yes.
In a good way, positive way. But yeah, there's different species on this planet and then you have the underworld civilizations that come in that live on the surface amongst us and interact. Then you've got the Homo sapiens sapiens, which are the human hybrid. Yes. That we've got like it's a Heinz 57 on this planet. We've got so many. The humans are the minority on this planet. And a lot of people don't know that.
But even as you were saying, the galaxy itself mostly consists of the humanoid life, like the five-star figure.
Correct.
In that way.
Correct.
And most of our galaxies have peace.
Correct. Yeah. Some of them will have like three appendages, like for fingers or hands. Some of them will have a different configuration with their hands and their feet. But in most, they're humanoid. Most of them are humanoid.
Yeah, I've seen some with tendrils and stuff like that, but they mainly consist of the humanoid figure.
Yeah, like the Nords who came from. And I get this mixed up. I think there were 50,000 years into an Earth future, not the Earth future connected to this planet, but everything is variance as far as timeline. So, but they came here from a former a future Earth existence, and they can't breathe our atmosphere because they damage the atmosphere of that particular Earth so bad that they have to breathe through a chamber in order to be on this planet.
Oh, wow.
The Greys are another one that 25,000 years. I might have mixed those up, one or the other, but 25,000 years into another Earth future.
Yeah.
And what they did to their
pretty much
planet,
destroyed their own Earth.
yeah, they became sterile. So they're the ones that do genetic manipulation, and they take pieces and they inject certain little modules into the body, and then they abscond with the women, and it goes on and on.
Yes.
So
some volunteers I've met as well too have been volunteers for the Greys with the hybrid programs, and
correct.
So it's pretty intense. Well, good news, a lot of their children are now taking over the programs and not so much the Greys anymore. So
correct.
That's great news as well. So here's another question from Julio here. Jared, how were you able to be chosen to receive this technology? Why were you given it? Did they not select someone with the resources to build it? Like, why were you given this technology?
My soul wasn't. I wasn't in this universe. I'm not talking the body and being human now, but my essence, my energy was not from this universe. I came from the 39th universe, which is an extension of all universes. And our civilization, it was more a mist, a mist. I wouldn't say a gas, but it's more like it's like a silver mist. We came from a galaxy known as a silver galaxy. It's about 100 times larger than the Milky Way galaxy. So we were approached to take this to this planet on the outer rim of the Milky Way galaxy in a synthetic universe. It was very intriguing from a standpoint from us, is that we had not been in the synthetic universe. So this was a population that needed assistance with its forward progression that had been stymied, as we were told, for thousands and thousands of years. So that the planet had been infected and taken over by much lower dark matter frequency, and that we were given the opportunity to bring these technologies here to free this civilization and to allow it on its own to advance out to the universe, is where it should have been a long time ago, but it's been encapsulated, it's been imprisoned in penal colony, gulag here on this planet too long, and you can't do that. It's a breach in the universal laws. So we came here, a handful of us, and have been here for quite a while. And now the timing, we've been around on this planet incarnating for about 26,000 years. And now it's the time that the transition takes place. There's other parts of us, and we've been starting to assemble, because we know different functions and different. I'm handling these technologies, okay, and some of them are working with me, and then they're in other areas working on food sources and so on and so forth to try to heal from the foods that they've created or discovered and put together. So it's kind of like an understanding group participation from the heart mind, and we're just humble servants of the civilization right now.
Yes. And like, how is your living situation? Like, are you able to go out to different places and interact with people, or is it kind of like more of a stay-at-home operation?
I'm kind of sequestered. I don't.
Right.
I have an assistant. She goes and gets the groceries and stuff, and she does all the errands. And I pretty much, if most people would say, well, you're like a hermit, but I can see the mountains, and I get out. I'll go to dinner once in a great while and that type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. It gives you an idea. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. We have to kind of fill in the dots there. So here's a question from YouTube, from Octavio. Once a person comes out of the celestial chamber, does it positively affect the capacity to increase his or her level of consciousness and light quotient?
Yes, absolutely. We use, which is really bad in a way, this civilization uses about 9.7% of the brain. Brain's 90% water. So it's a great conductor. But we have, imagine this. The celestial chamber can increase the brain, you can all the way to 100%. We can also go beyond 100%. But the emotionality of that for any human would destroy the human. They destroy the body. But we can, the answer is yes. You can come out at 20% brain capacity, which is over double what we're using now. That takes a lot of counseling, and that takes a lot of interaction and understanding.
Yes, of course, and especially for the layman who doesn't understand this.
Correct.
Yeah. So here's one from Sandy Nightingale. Jared, where are you financially right now since your last 2 interviews 9 months ago? Where are you standing right now in regards to the financial end?
Well, it surprises people because we've had a lot of commitments, and we should have been funded 4 or 5 years ago, but for some reason people disappear, so we don't get funding. So we single-handedly have tried everything. We've tried GoFundMe. We've tried, just on our calls, and there's been people who have donated. But to date, in the last 3 years, we've raised a little less than 200 grand. That's it.
Okay.
And we've had people say, send in $1 and everything, and that's a nightmare, because if you talk about 60 million, $1,
Yeah.
and then trying to get that into a bank without high review, then you just don't know how the current financial situation works on the planet. So
yeah.
Let's do
the $60 US, 1 million donors. That'll work.
Yes. Yeah.
Here's one from Erica. If the AI is able to change your physical expression in various ways, if you want to reproduce, will the offspring code after the changes or the original patterning? So I guess it's a feeling of, will you be able to reproduce with the, will the offspring code after the changes or the original patterning? So that's kind of her question.
Well, when you're looking at the original code of the physical vessel to be created by the procreation of the male and female in this species, which is separate, and create the baby body, and when you do the reatomization, if you have a 90-year-old woman and the woman says, because this is going to happen, and I've already had it posed. I've had some women say, I don't care. I really don't care to have a family again. I don't really care to have to go through all that. The cramps and the menstrual cycles and everything. We can eliminate all of that. The cramping and the bloating and all that stuff. That's just part of body chemistry. That's not an issue. But to procreate is what our species does, is what most species do across the board. But when you're talking about the original code, which is stored in the blood of the body, you're talking about, you're going into a spiritual realm, more of a God spirit that you're talking about. And we don't mess with that. We're here to reatomize the body so that the God in the body can stay in the body longer and experience more. So
here's a question for you, Joe, that just came up to me. Are people able to bring multiple bodies of themselves together and then incarnate in each of those bodies as well too?
No.
Kind of like, I guess we could see like the movie Avatar, for example, right, where he goes into another
body. But then you're talking about creating a body, an organic body, to house the God, right?
Yeah.
In a way, we do that with the celestial chamber. Okay. But you can't see, and I understand what that question is coming from, the sources, but there is an understanding that when we're in our God form, our soul, pure consciousness, we can splinter off and inhabit several lives on the planet. It's like some people say, well, I met someone they kind of look like me, but they have different life and so on and so forth. And we splinter off and we enter different life forms to experience as much as we can. And that's the whole point. We have a little amnesia. Amnesia is that as this civilization has been basically manipulated, we just don't remember. We don't remember who and what we are. We become seduced in the material physical world, and then we think we're the body. And then some of us think, well, I'm not the body, but I'm not sure what I am, and I don't know what's inside this body. And then you go a little bit further, and then you have those that say, I know I'm not the body. I know I'm the God, the pure consciousness within the body, but I'm still figuring that out. And that's where some of those that on the planet are, and you have to stay away from the ego mind because it's very seductive.
Right.
And living in this material physical world, look what's happened to us. And being controlled by the ego mind, which are both illusions, look what's happened to us. Okay, war and conflict and greed, power, and having money and status, and having this, illusion of separation. When you bow to the God in the body, that this is part of us. It's, murdering and killing and raping and pillaging that's not our natural state of being at all. That's why you have so many people with PTSD, that we can remove that too, the trauma with veterans and what they've experienced. And see, it's not natural. How many men and women have been traumatized on this planet through violent conflict?
Countless.
It's just absolutely astronomical. And we're going to end that. That's going to end. And the harmony and peace together of understanding who and what you are on this planet and working as one. You ever seen a flock of birds? How at times you see a blue sky and you see a flock of birds and they all move as one. There's always a direction. There's a point. There's always a point in the flock, but they move as one. And that's a signal, them trying to teach us, you guys got to start learning to move as one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll advance beyond anybody's imagination. Then you expand your imagination, put it front and center, like when we were kids. When we were kids, we were so innocent. We asked everything. We didn't know that you could burn yourself on the stove or that you could skin your knee. You had no idea.
Yep.
So this is an absolute. It's a crescendo. It's a Shangri-La opening for the civilization to expand itself, expand the imaginations. And then we have visionaries, imaginaries that we expand out. There'll be geniuses popping up all over the planet, but through the heart mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're looking for. That's why some of these technologies that we bring in are going to encourage that. Doesn't matter what your status is in life and where you've been and everything and how much you have. What it means is that you have the opportunity to become one with all the gods on this planet because you are one.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
The only illusion is separation.
That's right. Exactly. Marno has a question here, but Jared, can you finish your thought about experiencing the celestial chamber? I guess we got off topic with that. So like you said, you were on the ship and they were showing you the celestial chamber and you were saying that it was amazing. What did the celestial chamber work on? Like, what did you experience with the effect of it?
They had a being, okay, that was humanoid, that had aged. Something happened to the soul's body. The body really looked almost like ash, but it was solid, okay, like you and I. But it was really bad. It looked like it was like 50,000 years old. But the body was still alive. And so they took it through the chamber, the reatomization process. And this woman, it absolutely indescribable. Her beauty, her perfection, her skin. She had 3 hearts, one within one and one behind one. So she had the organs and everything were totally different. Didn't have a digestive system. She absorbed nutrients through the atmosphere. So she was always being nutritionalized, the body was. And something had happened with the gene code within that physical form that caused it. It was some kind of a dis-ease that was picked up in interstellar space, interacting with another species. And so they had her, she went into the chamber and came out. I've never seen anything, how her appearance was just, I mean, perfection. There were no flaws at all.
Yes.
And it was 3 minutes. So people ask me, where do you get the 3 minutes? That's how long it took. Just like waving a wand. And a lot of people go, that's not possible. Well, that's the ego mind speaking. It is, and people will have access to it.
Exactly. Well, there's a question here on YouTube. Say, well, the governments of the world should be paying for this. Why wait for donors? Well, we don't want the governments of the world paying for this because they're not heart-centered, right?
We've
We
had
want to
that.
put control agendas on that.
Yep, you're right, Brad. We've had that. We've had people say, we're going to give you all the money you need. Okay. But here are the parameters. You report to us. We take over everything, all the rights, all this.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot give it to the civilization. It'll only be used for a particular few of us, period. And so we just turn that down. We've turned them all down because it's the same old stuff that got the planet in the shape it's in today.
You probably got a lot of requests from those kind of bankers and government agents.
Yep, we've had that. We sure have.
And they'd give you all the money in the world. Here you go. You got this bottomless account, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lickety split. Sure.
Exactly. So that's exactly what you want to avoid altogether. To the person asking that question, to Shining Moon, we want to avoid that, right? Like I said, this is why you have it, the donors, people who are heart-centered, who are giving small amounts of money, but like again in the millions, and that will make the difference. Exactly. Okay. So here's a question here from Karen. It will take time for humans to receive this technology. How much longer will it take for our animals to be able to use it? Like, are we going to be able to like put a lot of animals on the bed and restore them into their prime?
Well, we won't be able to do a menagerie of animals on the chamber, on the bed, on the chamber itself. What we can take a dog. You've got a 15-year-old pet that's, that at that age they're going to be leaving the body. We could literally reatomize that dog into a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, a puppy. Period. Horse. A lot of people have on the planet. They have humane centers where they take in wild animals that have been abused or damaged. We could literally deliver a celestial chamber to these areas and to these humane societies, and where people take in wounded and destroyed bad animals that have been really harmed, and reatomize them, and they can just go back out into the wild with no issues, and they have no memory of any of the traumas that they've experienced.
So they may be in that sense near death, but then they can come onto the chamber and then, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can take a near-death biologic form, which maybe has hours left, and the organs are shutting down, and reatomize them, young, vibrant, healthy, better than the second time around.
Excellent. Okay, we have a raised hand here with Victor. Victor, I know that your hand's been up for a while. Victor, if you want to unmute yourself, if you have a question for Jared, you can.
Hello, Jared. Hello, Brian and everybody. I'm Victor from Romania.
Hello.
And I'm
a question.
So happy. Yes?
Go ahead.
I am so happy to be able to get in touch with you for the first time. And very short, Jared, I had a few emails with you regarding my interest together with our group in this great project for Romania. I want to touch two aspects related to karma and immortality. So as we know, the first divine universal law is you cannot interfere with life. So if karma, having the subject in the CC, inside of the CC, karma is affected in the sense that is the level of consciousness automatically it's increased. I think that means we automatically take out from his chart several experiences what that person has to learn in one or many other lives. Regarding immortality, if a person could live 5,000 years in one life, then 5,000 years in say 50 lives, we avoid reincarnation. So help me here, please, to understand about affecting these aspects.
Good questions, Victor.
Thank you, Victor.
Pleasure to meet you. Number one, understand that, and I understand what you're saying, several reincarnations add up to, so many thousands of years. But see, but these bodies, excuse me a second, these bodies were never meant, we choose, see, our souls choose to reincarnate. The reason is because we want to experience physical form. And we learn to experience the physical form by entering the body, but we have amnesia, which is synthetic amnesia, which is created for us. And so we have no memory of past lives in most cases. We carry
That's by the matrix created?
Pardon?
That's in interference regarding our memory?
That's interference. That is absolute off-world interference in this sector of the galaxy, of this Milky Way galaxy. That is not natural state of being. That is an interference, a tampering. So
normally you should be able to carry it over as long, you know, you live on that planet or on that place, right?
You would carry normally, okay? All of us were designed from source to understand that we carry all of our experiences, and we know them. We refer to them. It helps us navigate our learning process as souls. So what happens is that when they interfere with that, we're like a broken record. It skips. We reincarnate. We have lives in this planet. We've been sequestered to this planet, and you don't have to reincarnate. You can choose to reincarnate anywhere in any form. Mm-hmm. But they've intercepted this for thousands and billions of years. And the fact of the matter is I'll give you an understanding with the celestial chamber. And we're putting things to natural state of being. And most of us don't know what that is. So the natural state of being is that the soul is immortal. The soul chooses to be in an immortal body, so it can experience long periods of times. Now, the soul will leave the body when it chooses, because we have self-discovery where we learn what we are. That's one of the reasons we enter physical form on this planet, that we learn instead of taking thousands of lifetimes to learn that we're the God within the body and not the body. Then we learn it through a long period of time. A lot of species are this way out in the universes. So you can spend 5,000 years on planet Earth, but you're learning, you're experiencing. Are you going to make mistakes? Absolutely. You know, you're going to continually progress, but you're in one body. And then you get to a point where you determine that you've done what you wanted to do. You have experienced what you chose to experience in certain ways. And so you're going to leave the body. And when you leave the body, does that mean that you're never going to incarnate again? No, you'll choose to incarnate however, in whatever form you choose to incarnate in, and continue your journey, because our journeys are not, they don't end. They're just constant. We are unending energy. And so we continue to experience, we continue to expand and intensify. I know beings that create universes. They were there with us. They were in our shoes where we're at right now, billions of years ago. But they've advanced to the point where they create the universes. And they're in a much different kind, if you want to even call it a form. So what we're looking at with the celestial chamber is that when you go in the celestial chamber, like soldiers and people who have had trauma, they choose if they want to keep that trauma. We in counseling, we don't do anything against them or their will. They're informed on a spiritual level. They're informed on a physical level. And they're also discuss with them exactly what they really are in that body. So into the chamber, the most time consuming is the counseling. When they go into the chamber, they're of somewhat of understanding, so that we are not tampering with the universal laws that have been set in place throughout existence. So they go in there and they're re-atomized. So they know, okay, so let's say they choose they want to be immortal. They want the body to be immortal. They want to stay in the body and experience and learn. That's what will happen. It doesn't affect the soul mission at all. In fact, it helps the soul mission in the physical form. Now, as far as karma is concerned, we ask people this, and it is our decision as souls, as gods. It isn't anybody else's decision. So we make the decision coherently without being zapped. We make the decision is that, okay, so I have karma. And you can't just wipe the karma out because the karma is part of our learning process.
Yes.
And so we learn that we did these things. And so we did them. And when we had lifetimes, we were not that great. We were not that nice. So we had these lifetimes. And then we have the lifetimes that were good and we did a lot of good things. So that karma, it allows us after the re-atomization to be much more in tune and forgiving of ourselves with the karma, the karma that is the negative karma that we will attend to. And to get this, you're in the body much longer. You're able to tend to the karma and eliminate that karma and balance oneself as the soul. So this is all part of the process. So, I've had people ask me, well, you're going to mess with the spirit, the God within the body. No, we're talking about the body. That's it. We're not talking about messing with the soul.
You cannot mess with spirit. It's not possible. It's permanence.
No, yeah. It's the vessel that we're straightening so that the vessel can last longer. We were supposed to live a lot longer on this planet than we are now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even the orientations of the mind is an impermanent form, so that too can be tinkered with in that way.
Right.
So it's just looking at the mind-body principle. We can never ever tamper with God. That's impossible because God is permanence. So guys, alleviate that fear. Because I had some, is this going against God? Guys, you still don't know what God is. It's permanence. You cannot mess with permanence.
That's right.
Victor, was there one last question that you had?
Thank you. One more word. So Jared, is like you have two options in a race to choose the best carrier, the best car to take you to till the end, or to choose cheaper cars, which you have to change them on the road. It's the same thing because the pilot, the soul, which is immortal, so one car will be the best option. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Victor, for your question. I appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to some other questions here. Janice asks, Jared, are there any other outlets making these sort of chambers or beds or med beds besides you and the SSP med beds? Is there anybody else out there that you're aware of that's making something like what you're making?
No. There's no one out there making celestial chambers. If you hear that, use caution and discretion.
Discernment. Yeah, exactly. So it's like when I had my conversation with Jared, I was telling another friend of ours, I said, Jared is the only one on this planet who could make something like this, right? And there's nothing else like that out there. This is what I was talking to you guys, because I've done this in the past couple of weeks with my webcasts and saying I'm bringing Jared on and he's the only guy who can develop something like this and his team. And I said, if you guys really want something that, we've dreamed about the med beds, but now we're looking at something like the celestial chambers, which is even better. If we want something like this, Jared is the man who can do it. And he's the only guy on this planet who can do it. So this is why I really encourage you guys to get behind him. And some of you on the chat are saying, well, I don't have the money, then don't worry about it. Then start sharing this with people. Start sharing this interview, start sharing the other interviews that Jared has done, and just start telling people, say, hey, this is it up. Maybe I don't have the money right now. Maybe I'll save up $60, right? Which is, again, pretty much the same as 2 fancy dinners, right? So if you can give up your 2 fancy dinners, have your $60 US. And like I said, if you cannot afford it, please just share this information with people. If we can get 1 million donors, $60 each, you guys will have celestial chambers. Don't you think that's worth it? Right? So make sure we're all just doing our part and share this. If by chance you don't have the money, just share this and let people know that this exists. All right. Let's go to Howie here. Did Jared's family background in the military play any role in his advanced knowledge?
Well, in a way, indirectly. My father was a military non-com, so it means he never wanted to be an officer. And he was in the Korean War, World War II, Vietnam War. So he was a war veteran, and he worked in areas of missile installations. his cover was a boiler room. And they always have covers. He interacted with a lot of the military personnel at the time in Project Blue Book. And through the years, as our fathers were taken out, some of them were taken out and others just naturally left the body. My father was taken out, and at the age of 53, when he was getting ready to retire, they send him to a certain air base, and then they wait, and then they leave, and they become civilians. But he was heart attacked massively, coronary thrombosis. So they just didn't want him to. They didn't want him to go out in civilian life, and they didn't want him to discuss with anybody. So through the years, we interacted as kids, as service brats, with each other, and so we picked up certain things. Some of the kids had dads that were colonels, some had generals. Most of us have expired in these bodies; they've been taken out. But I did get an education. I did get an understanding. I was pretty much aware at the age of 3 of many things. I knew what universe I came from when I was 3, and I just had a ball in the physical human form. It was just absolutely amazing. It still is. It's no different than when I was 3. To be in these bodies, it's absolutely magnificent. So
you were also a personal trainer as well, too, right?
Yes, I was a personal trainer, anatomy, physical form, weight loss, learning how to heal the body by yourself without having to have a stranger do it in the allopathic industry. And I've done a lot of things in the area of herbology, formula mixture, guinea pig in the body. Like most people, you use the body, your body to see what the effects are of some of the formulas that have been presented to you. And so then you can share them with other people, because we're out here to keep everybody in the body until we have the celestial chamber. And then once we have a celestial chamber, we can start saving the lives and end this pain and suffering on this planet, which affects us all immensely so.
Yes.
So this is my life has been, I've been homeless. We were raising funds for the chamber, and it was all stolen. It was stolen by a European bank, and this was about 15 years ago. So I was forced out. I was homeless. I was attacked by the different agencies, and I won't go into which ones, but. The fact of the matter is that this planet is a very unique planet, and it's not an average general planet. It is a gateway in this sector of the universe, in this quadrant of the galaxy, as a hub for different species to do jumps into different parts of the universe. And this planet was destroyed 20,000 years ago. And a lot of people don't know that because of the dimensional shifts. And then it was reconstructed, and they don't care to have it destroyed again.
So you mean the entire planet was destroyed?
Yep. And so this planet has been used, and this is the knowledge that you can scan Earth, and you can actually, there are technologies, you can scan Earth and you can pick up its entire history since its birth. You can pick up all the root races and everything. You know exactly what's gone on, and that's why a lot of species will travel. Over 1,000 travel through the solar system every day. We've got over 160 planets, 170 planets in this solar system alone. Some take several thousand years to circle the sun.
Yeah, there's many of them in the Oort cloud. The Oort cloud has tons.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of us will be able to visit these other civilizations and interact with them. At one time on this planet, in its early stage, there were civilizations visiting here, interacting with the surface population, the indigenous populations beneath the surface. The pyramids were beam gates. They had the capstones, and they brought in starships that would land here. Those were airports. Those pyramids were used as an airport sequencing system on the planet, and that's why they're all over the planet, because we had interstellar airports all over this planet at one time. They were not intended to be crypts or tombs.
Never tombs. No, definitely not.
Yeah, that's just a joke. Yeah.
But there was kind of like oases that are kind of like underground that they would like kind of camp out into in that sense. Like they could come here and basically have like these kind of
Exactly.
oases and beautiful places under the ground.
Some of the cities beneath this planet are absolutely
Gorgeous.
stellar. They're just nothing like the architect that they've tried to impose on this, the Orion system. They've tried to impose this on this planet. If you, the Gothic architecture and the way the architecture is, it's all the same. But man, I'll tell you, you go beneath the surface of this planet, you're going to see cities that are going to just be breathtaking.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
the technology is off the charts.
I've actually seen one of them. There's a species I was in contact with a couple of years ago, referred to as the Delphi, and they basically live under Delphi, Greece. And I was able to convince them to actually go in Dreamtime to actually see their space. And it was like looking at Sweden, have like all these beautiful fields.
Oh yeah.
And they were very hesitant in showing this. We said, okay, I guess we'll show it to you. Right. I had really convinced them. And so I got a very brief glimpse of it. But it was like looking at like the open fields of Sweden. It was all underground. It looked exactly as if you were standing on the surface of the earth.
Exactly.
It was really beautiful and like really lush and beautiful and gorgeous. Yeah. And there's lots of that underground.
There is lots of that. And we've been kept as a species, we've been kept from so many wonderful things. And it is an atrocity, and it's ending. And I think a lot of people on this planet are kind of stretched a little bit, maybe a lot, emotionally, in the physical form that, they see all this stuff, but it's an illusion. It really is an illusion, guys. You guys have, what's ahead of us is unprecedented in this quadrant of the galaxy. It's
exactly what I'm telling everybody else. I said, you guys have no idea what's ahead for us. It'll be more beautiful than you could ever imagine.
Oh, it's just going to be absolutely spectacular.
Yep, absolutely. That's the new Earth to come. So here's a question here from Richard. Jared, do you see this power cube technology that you have replacing or integrating into the Tesla energy technology they're currently working on and introducing to the civilization soon?
Tesla, Nico, he was obviously a visionary. He was a visionary and a visionary, and his was rudimentary. His delivery system of his towers and everything. There's still one functioning in Russia, but it's refined now. And of course, you advance it. And here's what he meant to have happen: is that somebody would pick it up and advance it, and others would pick it up and advance it. Because we've got a lot of geniuses on this planet through the heart mind. Oh, yes. That are starting to pick up that technology as he would hope they would. And the universal numbers of 369, where you're looking at a much more refined delivery system for his energy towers. And the delivery system will be lightweight technology. Mm-hmm. And some of the groups on the planet are still, they're working with the Tesla inventions in the energy delivery system. But if you take if you take the cube, the power, the device we use, the technology that we use, and you could take one of those, disconnect all the power distribution in New York City, disconnect all their power distribution systems, and you were to install a cube in the central distribution power center in New York City. It would power that city without any outages or interruptions and storms or anything for an eternity. It would never exhaust. So people wouldn't have power outages. They wouldn't have to be left with, stranded without power, and which is really tough because a lot of us experience that. So neighborhoods, individual dwellings will be self-powered, and it'll all be done through lightweight technology. And your house of the future, you're going to walk inside and it's an ambient, it's an organic, it understands your body, your biological form. And so it adjusts everything. It's not an AI, by the way, it's not an AI. It will adjust. It will be in a symbiont relationship with the surrounding area. It won't pollute. It won't extract natural resources. It won't need to. It will literally generate everything for you. It will have replicator technology embedded in its existence. So things, you'll think things and they'll appear. And this is another training wheel. It will teach us that we can do all of this as we get to a certain stage of development. So, you're looking at totally different. It's nothing. Okay, you guys really could look at right now this world that we're leaving. You understand that everything that you know now will not be in the new Earth. It's
That's
not
right.
going to even be even a smidgen connected.
Yes.
Really, seriously.
Not a single stone will be left unturned. Everything's going to change.
Exactly. Yeah. And it won't be traumatic, and it won't be volatile, and it will be just a really smooth transition for the civilization. Unless those that are ego mind bended so much that they'll fight it every inch of the way.
Well, that's the whole idea. It's people who are volatile, who are basically so connected and attached to the system. It'll be difficult for them because they're not willing to let it go.
Exactly.
For everybody else who's ready to transcend it, it'll be quite simple.
Absolutely.
Yep. Here's one from YouTube here. Jared, are you being protected by off-worlders right now?
I'll say that I am protected.
Great. Excellent. And that's all we need to know. Another question here from Silver Feather. Will this healing technology also unlock memories of past lives?
That's a good question right there.
Mm.
It's the first question that I've been asked that one.
Good.
And
Good
the,
work,
answer,
Silver Feather.
the answer to that is that yes. You will be able to have all of us have all of our past lives stored. So in the soul, it's transferred so that the vessel you enter, and the information is through the blood. That's where all the information is in your blood. This is information highways. Your past lives are intact, and believe it or not, future lives. But we kind of draw a line there because you don't care. That would cause a big mess. So
yes,
we'll just say past lives. So your past lives will be accessible whenever you want. You'll be able to make comparisons. You'll be able to say, well, I did this 30,000 years ago in this life. I don't need to do that now. I know it didn't work out for me, or this was a bad thing. When I did it, and so on and so forth. So it'll help with karma, but it will open up all of your past life's experiences. You'll be able to review your past life experience. People say that's the Akashic Records. Well, in a way, that's a name, that's a label, but we all have our own library of all of our past lives, and we'll be able to access it whenever we want. So that,
like the universal Akasha, you could say.
Universal Akashic access whenever you choose. You don't have to go into some kind of a trance or anything like that. So
you'll have counseling sessions with people and say, okay, what would you like to do? Oh, I'd like to remember my lifetime. So I'd like to look like I'm 20 years old again.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like a checklist. It's okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. We'll get you in the machine.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Excellent. Okay. Here, we'll probably take one or two more questions, guys, and we're going to wrap up. Here's one from Sharon. Does age regression occur with a single treatment, or are maintenance treatments required to remain in the regressed state?
Okay, that's a good question. There's two choices, okay? Generally, there's two choices. And some people have said to me, I don't really care to be immortal. That's their decision. They don't, I mean, it's a fear factor or whatever. So that's fine. So they choose to be re-atomized to a certain age. And then they can access as they age. They'll age slower, but they'll still age, and they can go in the chamber and re-atomize themselves that way. Other people have said, I want to be immortal, and I don't care to have to go into the chamber every so often. And I'd rather just be immortal and take it from there. And so that's a choice. So the answer is yes.
Excellent. And it's good that, like I said, to have the counseling sessions and just make sure, again, everybody knows what they need. It's like with me too, like if I was presented this idea and saying, well, you know what, I'm pretty sure maybe in another lifetime, I'm okay with living under 100 and returning back to spirit for a while. When I come back again, absolutely, I know that will be available, this kind of technology. So, and I can respect that. Whatever a person feels like, I'm okay living under a century, and
exactly.
This is it. I just want to kind of get out of the physical body. I want to return to spirit. Great, go for it. Right, do it. It's always that's certainly my mentality as well too. Okay, so Jared, how can people reach you? What is your website?
Website is We Are One Light, LIGHT for all.net.
Okay.
All of my
all the information to donate to the celestial chambers on that.
That's all there to the attorney, where to send the donations, and they all go to our tribal attorney and our tribal association. And at that point, we keep collecting the funds until we have enough to launch relocations and get this on, just show on the road.
Okay.
Which just gets exasperating at times.
Is there a notification that someone gets to say if they sent you a check to your attorney, are they able to say, okay, we got your check? Or
It goes to my assistant.
Mhm.
She processes all of them. And
Okay.
they get up high enough, when they get up high enough, we send them to the attorney, then they're deposited in the IOLTA trust account.
Okay.
And so one thing, Brad, I wanted to let you know, the Zoom capacity was reached before it started.
Mhm.
Mainly email, so people were emailing my assistant, they couldn't get on.
Yeah, we only have a 100-person capacity here on the Zoom. So.
And so,
But it's on YouTube right now, so you can watch it on YouTube.
you're recording this, so people will be
Yeah.
able to watch it at a later date.
Yeah, it's on YouTube live right now. It's on my channel. So you can
Yeah.
just go to youtube.com/B, Brad Johnson 79. Type that in, and then you'll go to my channel. You'll see this interview here with Jared Rand, and it's on my YouTube, so it's recorded. And I'll send you the recording as well too, Jared, so you can pass it
Oh,
through
good.
the list. Yeah.
Super. Yeah, so that website has all of my interviews. I just did a FESIC impromptu interview because so many people were asking for updates on technologies. And you can access that on the website, all of my older FESICs, all of my interviews I've done. If you guys want to, review, as Brad said, which is deeply appreciated for Brad, have me on here and helping with this.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you on again as well too. We've got so much more stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah,
sure,
we do.
So
this is the best access point is weareoneliferoll.net. I do calls. Great. All my calls are on there. All the calls I do during the week, all the meditations, everything is on there, so they can access it.
Excellent. Yeah. So you're doing. Was it weekly meditations or daily?
We do daily meditations, global guided meditations. We've been doing them for almost 4 years.
Great.
We have millions of people all over the world and off world that participate in those. They come together as one for helping and assisting in the liberation of the planet.
Okay, great. Tell them about the $60 plan.
Yeah, they now hear it. They're now here. We've tried everything. Let me tell you, there's there's people all over the world, but there's certain reasons. Who knows? But we feel that the clouds are breaking apart, and we're having much more. I just have a good feeling that we're going to we'll finally be able to have access this funding, so that we can get this going, because it's really frustrating. Yeah,
and that's like when I get the questions about the med beds all the time. I said, guys, just go check out Jared's website, donate $60, right? So that's that's all I'm going to be doing from now on with the med bed questions, referring to you and the $60 plan. So, well, Jared, thank you so much again for being on the broadcast today. It was really great to have you. Like I said, I think we've only just scratched the surface. We have a lot more stuff to talk about. So maybe I'll have you on again in the next couple of months. And thank you again for being here today. I appreciate it. And thank you for all the work you're doing.
Deeply love each and every one of you.
Thanks, guys. All right, take care. All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap it up right now. Again, thank you everybody for being here today. I really appreciate it. And again, you can check out the recording on YouTube. Okay, this is on YouTube live right now. So again, you go to youtube.com/B, Brad Johnson 79, and you'll see the recording there. Like I said, I'm going to send this to Jared, so Jared's going to be sending it to his lists as well too. Let's remember to consider the $60 plan. Okay, this is now in your hands, everybody. Okay, this is why I wanted to bring Jared on today, because like I said, he's the man. He's the man that's going to be creating this incredible thing. He has all the knowledge, he has all the know-how, he has all the experience, he has a small team together. So this is it. This is the proof in the pudding. So the next step is up to you guys. So let's share this video around. Let's share Jared's website. Let's talk about Jared. Like I said, if you guys don't have the personal $60, that's okay. Please just share this around. If you guys want the celestial chamber technology, this is how we get it, okay? It's now up to humanity. So there's no more excuses now. Can we get 1 million people to be donors, to give the $60? That's up to us, all right? So again, thank you everybody for being here. We will go ahead and wrap up now, and I will speak to you again, all in another perspective of the now. Take care.